everybody. Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Hope you got some rest and relaxation coming back this week refreshed. Nice little show for you here. I've been away for a couple days, getting a few things done. Did some traveling last week. I think it was Thursday. We went to Chicago, spent the day at Wrigley Field at a tech event for a company called Ninja One. It's a company we have some software with, and they put on an event where they invited a bunch of MSPs like us to come and listen to different folks chat about MSP type stuff in the IT world. Some of it was pretty good. Some of it was a little dry, but all in all, it was okay. It was good. There was a few vendors there, good. They had some good stuff to give away. I brought home for my kids, so that's a win. They were giving away Cubs hats, so that's cool. Not a Cubs fan, but I'm a baseball fan. I like to collect those kind of things. And so I got a couple of hats, one for my son, one for me, and one for my daughter. So that was cool. Well, one of my daughters, the other two don't really wear hats ever. I guess one of them doesn't either, but I didn't want to leave her out. So, yeah, fun little Monday. Did a little work around the office. Nothing super exciting, business breaking to discuss, but doing some install stuff in the front entryway of our new office here. And the previous company, they had these big vinyl letters that had to come off, and it tore up the wall. So we pulled down wallpaper, and it's just kind of a bare beat up wall. So I covered that in this nice shiplap. So I think that looks nice. We're gonna get some monitors up for some active signage there, digital signage. And soon this back wall behind me will be, and probably that side wall will be changing too. We'll put a digital display behind me here for some active content, and also ordered a sign. So that'll be coming in a few weeks. That's going to be cool. What else is good today? Oh, had a nice discovery meeting set today with an opportunity for digital marketing services, and got there, and there was some wires crossed. Apparently the gentleman I was going to be meeting with, his name is Jeff. He'd already met with Manny and Mitch about a few things, but they were referred to us from a common friend that we both kind of do business with, but got to the meeting and he wasn't there. Turns out his email's been all wonky. He didn't get the very last email that Jamie, my assistant, sent that said, "Hey, I'll have Brian there at your office at 10 a.m. She asked if I preferred a Zoom or an in-person meeting. I'm always going to prefer in person. So they're not that far away, about 30 minutes from where I live. So I got up, got stuff done this morning, headed out to Green Bay, got there, and he wasn't there. So I met with one other person briefly, and we're reorganizing. We're going to have a Zoom meeting. But hopefully here in the near future, we'll be helping out another client with our marketing services. So that'll be two new ones in the past 2 months. That's fantastic. That's super exciting. Looking to start learning some new stuff here in the new year to apply. I think I've talked about a little bit the story brand framework for messaging and marketing. So I think I'm going to be going through that certification program, which will involve some learning and an event, I think in late January or early February. I think it's in Tennessee or something like that. So probably going to be taking a trip to Tennessee, not that far from me. Maybe bring the family if we can work that out. It's kind of hard with everybody in school now. It used to be easy to do those kind of things when we were homeschooling. It was just, hey, let's go, so. But all the kids, as they've gotten older, they've wanted to do school away from home. So we give them that choice. If they're doing good and they stick with it, and they're performing well. So anyway, I think from a standpoint of company related stuff, that's about it. Moving on, news today in the business world, turns out that Amazon is going to be investing quite a large sum of money in data centers for the U.S. government, to the tune of about $50 billion. That's a big check. Not sure exactly what that all purchases, but it sounds like We're not just talking about slapping up buildings and turning computers on. What they're looking to do, from what I've read, is really revolutionize what the U.S. government is capable of when it comes to leveraging AI and advanced computing systems. I read it's like 1.5 or 1.8 gigawatts worth of compute that one of these data centers is going to be able to produce. It sounds like it's going to help us defend ourselves better from cyber attacks, as well as go on the offensive, because that's how war is, both defense and offense, even in the digital cyber world. So that's kind of neat. Not sure where they're looking at putting these data centers, but it's probably too soon to tell on that. But I think it's a good, it's kind of good and a good allegory for what we should be thinking about as small businesses, especially when we get to the point where we're outgrowing our britches and we want to scale things up a little bit, right? Sometimes what we forget to do is invest the proper amount into the backbone systems that allow our business to run efficiently, or that to bolster that backbone with things that we don't have that allow us to scale and stay flexible and efficient. So, it's not always just about adding more people and getting them to do the repetition of work that's already being done at a higher, scale level, but it's also about, are we using the tools that we have in a way that allow for that? A lot of times, we're guilty of this too, is we'll be leveraging some piece of software and we're maybe using 10% of its capabilities because we just got it because it allowed us to do, a certain subset of tasks, but there's all other kind of things that it can allow us to do too. And then we move forward, find out we need a lot of other things, not even realizing we can do it with what we already have. And then we go out and buy more stuff, right? But in this case, as our businesses are growing, what we want to look at is what are the things that we're going to need in order to have a higher survivability rate as we get larger. And I kind of liken that back to, our government looking for investment from the large enterprise businesses in our country, like an Amazon, to say, hey, you guys have the ability to do this. You know how to do it. Invest back in the government to make things safer, more secure, not only for the government and its citizens, but the businesses in itself. So kind of cool. We'll see how that plays out over the coming months and years. But I thought that was a kind of neat story just to see that, I always wonder, like, is that the president picking up the phone and making a call, or someone is someone picking up the phone and calling him and say, hey, I know we need this. Here's what we're looking to do. You want to do that? Or, is it certain, committees tasked with, sitting down with these guys? I don't know. But $50 billion worth of investment is nothing to scoff at. So lots happening that way. And, jobs will be created making those data centers, running those data centers. They don't all stay automated. So that's always good news. Let's see what else we got here. Kind of a fun weekend in sports. I don't know if everybody had a chance to kind of catch what was going on all this week in the wide, wacky world of sports, but big NFL weekend, a lot of big games. The game yesterday afternoon between the Cowboys and the Eagles, has pretty much been the talk of the day. Everywhere every website I go to has anything to do with sports, or just listen to the radio driving here and back. Everybody's talking about that game. It was a pretty big upset that the Cowboys beat the Eagles. It wasn't looking like I checked in on the game, didn't have time to watch it. I checked in on the game at half. They were down 21-7. I think at one point they were down 21-0. You don't usually come back from those kind of wins because that takes stopping the team that you can't stop in the second half, and then turning around and doing something you weren't doing in the first half on offense, which is, scoring the football. So thought that was a pretty big win for the Cowboys. I am unashamedly a Cowboys fan, but I know it's funny. It's like it's my team or something. the Cowboys are a very suspect football team these days. Very unpredictable. Hey, 2 wins in a row against the Raiders, meh. But against the Eagles, that's a quality win, a big time rival. They were at home, but it's never an easy win. They played the Eagles pretty tough, game 1 of the season as well. So we'll come back and I'll watch the game on Thanksgiving because I got nothing else going on besides digesting food by the time that game comes on. So we'll probably be watching that game. Just laughing because my phone was ringing and I was getting a phone call from Collins, Wisconsin. There's literally this little bitty town called Collins, Wisconsin. Nobody in that little town knows me or is calling me, but definitely it's a cold call just using a number from that area. Anyway, shiny object aside, we'll be watching the game against the Chiefs on Thursday. I don't have a great feeling about any time the Cowboys in the last few years take the field. There's just no having a lot of confidence. They got some great players. They can be electric on offense. They can make some big plays on defense, but they'll usually break your heart. So what I've learned over the last, 20, 30 years of watching those guys play is you waste a lot of time after 2.5, 3 hours of watching a football game. When you think they're good and you just get disappointed. I used to watch football. I used to watch all the games. I used to get so upset. So funny, if my wife was sitting here, she'd be nodding like, yep. I mean, I used to get so fired up and I'd always just get so mad by the end of the game. I'd be like, I just wasted 3 hours of my life that I'll never get back watching this disappointing team over and over again. So I still love them. Just love to see them win. But unless they string a bunch of stuff together here, I mean, they basically, for the most part, you gotta win out the rest of the year to get into the playoffs. I don't know if they have what it takes to do that. We'll see. I would love to be proven wrong on that. But anyway, as far as the NBA goes this weekend, there's a bunch of games on Saturday, a few games on Sunday. I'm not going to cover any one in particular, but living close to Milwaukee, I'm kind of a Bucks guy. I mean, I like basketball in general. I don't necessarily hang my hat on any team because I'm not invested enough in the sport to do that, but I like to see the Bucks win because they're local and they're a fun team. They got, a couple big name players that are fun to watch. The whole team is fun to watch. They got a good vibe. I think they got a good organization too, but they got beat pretty handily by the Pistons, which most of the teams, almost all the teams that have played the Pistons have gotten beat by the Pistons. Right now, they're really good. Is anybody else surprised besides me? I mean, again, last year I paid a little bit more attention than I have in a few years. This year, as we're getting into the season, it's getting rolling, I'm going to try to pay more attention so we can talk about it on the show. But I mean, they're 14-2 right now. 14-2. At that rate, by the end of the season, they could, at the rate they're playing, if they kept it up, they could be a 10-loss, 15-loss team. And that blows my mind. I look their roster up. I don't recognize anybody on that team. Again, the fans are going to know their players, the fans of that team. Diehard NBA guys that are paying attention, they're going to know some of those players. They're going to be knowing what their production is. But I don't see any franchise names. I don't see any big name, marquee names on that team. And they're balling. 14-2 right now. And they just put up like 138 on the Bucks. I mean, nobody really plays defense in the regular season anyway. But their coach, JB Bickerstaff, he's producing. He started with them in last year, 2024. He's turning them around big time. I mean, he was pretty successful with Cleveland. But I tell you what, I think that's a team to watch at least here early in the season to see if they can keep it up. We'll see. We will see. I mean, I like it when teams emerge from kind of the dust of mediocrity after a few years, and someone or a couple people on that team are going to probably end up having a phenomenal year, and they'll end up being marquee players, as the season wears on. But if they can keep it up, who knows? It's a long season, kind of a grind, like baseball in some ways. But they seem to be legit right now. So that's pretty cool to see. I went to high school in Michigan. A lot of people I grew up with are big Michigan sports fans, some of them Wisconsin because I was in the UP, but it's good to see a team in Detroit do well because, that city's had it rough for the last 20 years. But, Lions are doing all right over in the NFL side of things, but hey, who knows? Pistons haven't been good in about 20 years or so. Maybe not that long, maybe a little bit less than that, but, with the recent news about Chauncey Billups and the gambling thing, they could use some good stuff, associated with him. Chauncey being a great player for the Pistons for a long time. But anyway, what else sports related? Oh, in the Collins household, we got sports folks. There was, my two oldest kids, Deck and Ari. They were playing some sports this weekend. Declan was not kind of an organized sport per se, but his high school, their student council put together a spike ball tournament. If you guys have ever heard of spike ball, it's this kind of a yard sport, I guess, where you have this kind of big, it looks like one of those small trampoline things, but it's just a net strung across it. And it's about probably half a foot to a foot off the ground. And you have this little rubber ball and you can play one-on-one, but usually it's teams of 2-on-2 and you kind of face each other and you kind of smack the ball back and forth, but it's got to bounce off. There's some interesting rules, but it's fun to watch, fun to play. Kids are diving all over the place trying to get to it, but they had a tournament. And so he signed up for it. Hardly anybody in the freshman class did. A couple other freshmen were there, but there's a lot of upperclassmen and stuff. But he kind of got matched up with another freshman and played games, had some wins, had some losses. I don't think made it very far in the bracket, but he seemed to have had a good time. He was there for about 4 hours. I had to sit through a lot of it because he was worried he wasn't going to know anybody. He just wanted to sit alone. But I was there for a little bit, and all of a sudden he's meeting more people and hanging out with them. So that was pretty cool. And then my oldest daughter, Aria, she had a basketball tournament. No, sorry, not a tournament, just another set of weekend games and this club team she's a part of. And this is new for her. This is only her second year of playing basketball, but she got a great basketball build. She got a great feel for the game, a great feel for shooting. Still kind of getting her dribbling down, good with her left, not so much with her right yet, but she's getting better. She works on it, super hard. And she had surgery on her adenoids, so she was down all week. Had a game with her school team on Friday that she went to, but didn't play or dress, but sat on the bench with her team and encouraged them. That team, they won their game. She came back on the weekend and she begged me to let her play. So her mom and I were talking in the morning. She woke me up at 6:30 in the morning, jumped on the bed. She's like, "Dad, can I play today? Can I play?" And I'm like wiping the sleep out of my eyes and seeing doubles, and I'm like, "Honey, seriously?" She's like, "Yeah, can I play?" I'm like, "How do you feel?" She's like, "I feel great." And Mom's looking at me like, she's trying to pull a fast one on me. Now we have this dynamic. And I said, let Mom and I talk about it. So we talked about it and kind of came to the agreement. This was Mom's idea. Hey, and I was kind of thinking about it, but she verbalized it first. She's like, "Why don't you take her outside, work her, and see how she does?" So we went outside. I ran her up and down the block 4 times, got her heart rate up and huffing and puffing, because adenoids, when you get the surgery, there's a lot of inflammation back there and there's healing, and her nose is all stuffed up. She can't hardly breathe through her nose. But she passed that test. She was getting a little kind of winded and a little gassed and dizzy, but then we took her back to the backyard where the hoop is and had her do some micing drills and some shooting drills and rebounding for herself. And so she was flying all over the place, and then had her see how she would do shooting free throws after all that activity. And she did well. She shot well as you can in 30-degree weather after being, just having surgery less than a week ago. And she came inside, and we were going to have some lunch before we had to go to the tournament, or not tournament, the games. Have some, I think it was probably breakfast, because the first game was at 11 or something. And she started kind of feeling not great, nauseous, because I think there was some drainage and that taste, of it's, you don't want to know. It's gross. But anyway, it wasn't looking great. And then she kind of settled down, and Mom and I talked about it a little bit more. So we decided to let the coach know we're going to give her a shot, but evaluate her there in warm-ups. She's going to dress, she's going to be there, but let's limit her time, see how she does. So that was good. I'm glad we talked about that and made that decision together. It's not always easy when you've got a preteen or a teen that has an objective, and we're not really talking business right now. Maybe we're talking family and parenting, but when you got somebody in your family who's got an objective and they're working the both angles, they're working the dad angle with the cute eyes, and I'm please dad, please, and they're working the mom angle, and they're trying to pit each other, So we're getting good at remembering we're a team and approaching it from a standpoint of trying to figure out how to not be too protective while at the same time not protective enough. I have, which most men do, have the penchant to push the kids to take risks and try things, blah, blah, blah. Mom, exact opposite. No, but we have to figure out how to balance that middle. I think if we could, we would give each other a high five on that one, because I think we came together pretty well on that. So we decided to let her play. So she did. She played limited minutes. They played 2 games back to back that day against some good teams with some. Aria's tall, but these other 2 teams had girls on their team taller than me. They 6'3" easy, maybe even 6'4". One of these girls was, another one probably just as tall, and like not built like a rail either, like athletic build. These girls could play and they could get up and down the court. And so she played limited minutes, but that was okay. She held her own. She scored 2 points in the first game, had a steal and I think a partial block in the second game. And again, she only played maybe 2 or 3 minutes each game. Not a whole lot. Coach didn't want to push her, and we didn't want her, but to push too hard either. But that was really good. And this team is really good. They've been playing with each other, like 5 to 6 of these girls, maybe 7 of them. They've been together for probably since 3rd or 4th grade, in this kind of club team. And Aria and 2 of her friends from her school joined the team this year, and this is their first year for them. One of the others was maybe on the team last year, I think. But anyway, pretty new to the team. So, but the team's gelling good. The girls that have been together and they're really good ball players are trying to figure out how much they can trust, my daughter and these other girls to be good, productive parts of the team. And to these girls' credit, they're hopping in there, getting in front of balls, getting turnovers, and really helping the team. They don't know the offense yet, and they're learning the defensive philosophy. But I'm pretty proud of the whole team for the way they're getting along and the way they're playing. So that's really good. And I'm proud of my daughter for pushing hard to try to be there. I think that is about it for the day. That was it for episode 86 of the Daily BLP. Appreciate anybody and everybody who joined us today, either live or is watching the show a few days down the road. You guys have a lot of choices for things you could be spending your time doing. I appreciate it. If you've decided to watch here, feel free to do what they always say to do is subscribe and like what you hear. If you like it, if you don't, let us know why. Give us some ideas if you think we could be doing better. Either way, appreciate everybody who tunes in. We're gonna end the show now, and I'll see everybody tomorrow for episode 87. Take care, everybody. Have a great and fantastic day.